Morning. It's 11:30. I had to cut that song short. Unfortunately, for those people out there who are really enjoying it, I'm sorry about that. So this is the new time that my show is going to be playing on Arrow FM. 11:30, Sunday. No, it's actually 10:30. I'm just looking at the clock here that hasn't been updated. And I said that even though I do know it's actually only 10:30. But everything's a little bit muddled around this time of year, isn't it, with enforcement of daylight savings. Apparently which originated in Germany, as it turns out, because the people who work the land wanted some extra time in the evening possibly, so they could do a few more hours. Can't remember the exact reasons, something like that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the Germans were the first to do it. It caught on from there, spread around the world. There's a lot of opposition to daylight savings in Australia, which I always found quite funny. There's like a large sort of cohort of people who protest it every year almost. Particularly, I think there's somewhere in Australia as well, I can't remember exactly what state it is, where they don't even have daylight savings. Which is, good on them. They're not going to bow to the status quo. Not going to get up they're not going to lose that hour at the pub when it finishes. Get sent home early. They're staying. So this week I've got a few good tracks to play. I did have an interview lined up, but unfortunately I haven't heard back from the participant. I contacted him in midweek. He's quite an interesting chap, an ex-US Marine who fought in the original Gulf War, and he's got some pretty harrowing tales to tell about that. And he's a writer now and a bit of a political activist, sort of lives in Chicago. Does some interesting stuff over there, but unfortunately, I never heard back from him, even though we'd established contact maybe a month ago, and I said I'd get back to him, but it could be just one of these things. Maybe he's really busy, or perhaps my email got sent to his spam folder, or perhaps he just doesn't want to be on the radio show anymore. But even though he does do a podcast, so but yeah, I'm going to play some music. I've been listening to a bit of cool stuff this week, and sort of and reminiscing a bit as well with some tunes. But the first tune I'm going to play is one that I'm not overly familiar with. I'd heard the album on which it is on by D'Angelo many years ago, but this particular song is one I had to listen to the other day because I read an article about Pino Palladino, who is a person a lot of people might not have heard of, but is, according to many people, like one of the greatest bass players in the history of modern music. He's featured on, apparently, he is really one of those people who you could go, you name it, he's played on it pretty much. He's definitely got an impressive array of a back catalogue. But this particular song he played on with some other guys for D'Angelo, and this one's called Chicken Grease, and I really like this track, and particularly the music, the backing music. It's a good one. I'll put it on. You guys can judge for yourself what you think of it. Chicken Grease by D'Angelo from the Voodoo album.
Let me tell you about the chicken grease. Stuff and things to make the people get out to see. Everybody is good if you wanna clap your hands and stomp your feet. Go come on down to the bumper, you can feel the beat there. From the left to right, to the back, to the middle, and the front. Don't be uptight, shake it off and do what you want. But let the pump it in the club and get the bit of bump. I know you love because I'm funky, cause I just want to show you some love. But you the brothers on the avenue, the chicken green, persistence in the streets, good Lord, chicken green. To get to the other side, but not the kid. See, I'm like that old bucket of Crisco that's sitting on top of the stove. Simmer to sizzle like a thing. Now wait till the master this. Let the others go first, so the brothers won't miss. Fried till it's burning crisp. See, we be cooking so the folks can raise their fists like this. Now you know how it's going down. Don't let your neck dip. Through your back and work your way down to your feet. Right there, baby. Just on your knees. Come on, everybody, let's. I just wanna put you down. Yeah. I just want y'all to get down. Yeah. Everybody come lay down. Yeah. Give me a little bit of chicken grease. Come on down in the front, but baby, yo, it's cool. It's cool. Everybody that's making the funk will put you in school. But take a lesson from the blessings without the blessings. I got the music and the instruments, and that's my weapons in hand. Everybody on the floor, that's the gift of the beat. Clap your hands, clap it, but just stop the beat. I just wanna put you down. I just want y'all to get down. Everybody come lay down. Everybody is on me. Outside where you at? Out your I know you love me cause I'm funky cause I say it loud. I know you love me cause I'm funky cause I know you love me cause I'm funky cause I know you love me cause I'm funky cause I know you love me cause I'm funky cause I know you love me cause I'm funky cause I know that you're funky cause I think the way you move your love. I know you chicken greedy. Hey, hey, hey. Chicken greedy. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah. Chicken greedy.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool track, eh? Chicken Grease, D'Angelo from the Voodoo album. Yeah, you could hear Pino Palladino in the background there. Really cool bass line in that track. And just in general, that album has a lot of good music on it. Yeah, so there's a good article in The Guardian online at the moment about Pino Palladino. I read it, I don't know, a few days ago. And yeah, interesting chap. Interesting musical history, and done a lot of cool things over the years. Check him out. I think he's actually released a solo album. That's sort of what the article was sort of written in regard to, even though, you know, he's probably long overdue an extensive article about his musical background. Yeah. And so this week we've seen the government announced the travel bubble with Australia, and I did actually watch an interesting little press stand-up live on the Hawke's Bay Today Facebook page with local orchardists, and they were saying that they sort of think that it would be economically prudent to immediately open a travel bubble with the Pacific so that they can get people in to pick the apples, which are all going to waste, because New Zealanders no longer want to pick apples, it seems, and so they're struggling to get a bumper crop off the trees with the risk that millions of dollars of fruit is simply going to go to waste. And yeah, I mean, you'd have to say to the government in that situation, hey, maybe you should just get a few people over here, because it's going to benefit their home economy, and it's going to benefit our economy if we get these apples and other fruit off the trees. But yeah, perhaps I'll do something about that, hopefully. I was actually, the other night, Emma Jane was playing, my partner, the lovely Emma Jane, was playing a video of Faith No More singing Epic, the huge hit they had, and I think when they released The Real Thing in 1990, it was massive, that song, and there was a live version on Comedy Central in the United States, and yeah, watching it sort of reminded me of what a huge fan of their music I was in my youth, and sort of, even now I still enjoy Faith No More, their particular brand of, or their particular style, the meeting of those various musicians. I always sort of was disappointed that Jim Martin left the band, because I thought he gave them quite a hard edge that I quite enjoyed, but you know, they had people come into the band who ably took that guitar mantle, like Trey Spruance, the Mr. Bungle guitarist, came in and did a few albums, and the other chap, I can't remember his name, even though I saw him live with them. I've seen them live about 3 times. The first time in 1995. It was my first ever big rock concert, actually, at the Wellington Show Buildings on the King for a Day tour. Yeah, real eye-opener of an event, actually. Went there from Hastings with some friends, drove down, stayed at a friend's hostel, went to the concert, had a great time. It sort of actually changed my mind about where I was going to study the next year, and I was planning to go to Palmerston, and I'm so glad I didn't. Palmerston North, yeah, I chose Wellington over Palmerston North, and I'm forever grateful that I did it, actually. I would say no offence Palmerston, but no, okay, no offence Palmerston. I'm sure there's no one listening anyway from Palmerston, or maybe there is. You know, you've spruced the place up a bit in the last few years, guys, with the help of my friend Shane Wilson. He did a bit of work for the Manawatu Council, helped them spruce the joint up over in Palmy there. And yeah, but anyway, back to Faith No More. So I thought I might play a few Faith No More tunes this day, today. And I'm just going to go through and play one from each of their albums. I'm obviously not just going to only play Faith No More. I've got another few songs to play as well, but I'm going to start. There's a really short one coming up now. This is Jim. This is from their very first album, Faith No More. What's that album called? I think it might have even just been called Faith No More, or maybe did they call it We Care a Lot? Yeah, they did. They did call it We Care a Lot. But anyway, this song is one that sort of showcases a bit of Jim Martin's guitar playing ability. Quite early on, he's probably, I don't know, it's one of those ones that a person might release and then years later they'll be like, oh, why did I release that? But I've always enjoyed it. It's quite cool. Here it is. Faith No More, Jim.
Right, this is a blood all fucking night.
Short and sweet, that one. 1 minute 10. Jim, Faith No More. That's from their very first album that came out in, I think, 1984, possibly. So the sort of, in terms of longevity, they've done pretty well, Faith No More. They've been around for, what's that, almost 30 years? Yeah, I think so, anyway. Yeah, so, Faith No More. So that concert, yeah, that was excellent that year. Wellington, interesting place. There was another band that actually that the lead singer Mike Patton was involved with from Faith No More called Mr. Bungle. That really, I was, I don't know, I suppose I was pretty mesmerised by them in my teens, just with the sort of amazing musical, I don't know, what would you call it? Just like I suppose it was a bit of a cacophony at times, but no, they were just excellent musicians and doing weird things, and I'd always had a bit of a musical sort of lean in my life. With my mum would always have her bands from her church playing in the living room of our house as I grew up, and I got used to having bands around from quite a young age, and just hearing music being played all the time, live music actually. So I sort of, took a bit of a shine to music, and Mum always had an excellent music collection over the years that I sort of would chuck on and be like, oh, I don't really like this, but then years later I'd remember it and play it and be like, wow, this is really good. I did that with a few different things that Mum had over the years. But these bands were Faith No More. In recent times, I probably was a bit of a fanatic for Faith No More when I was younger, even though I had quite a diverse range of musical tastes. I sort of was quite fixed on them for a while. And the good thing about them was that they were pretty interesting in that they did a lot of different stuff within what they did musically. They're not really a band that you can go, oh well, they're definitely this hard rock, because they're not. I mean, and anyone who says that Faith No More are hard rock obviously doesn't know them very well, because they do all sorts of weird stuff. They do a lot of easy listening, quite poppy stuff, and that's the cool thing that I've always liked about Faith No More, is that they pull out some crazy songs like I'll play another one later, but in the meantime, I did find something, again, reading an article online, a song apparently that really changed the world at the time that it came out, even though there were people doing similar things, but this one sort of grabbed a hold of the public imagination a bit, particularly in the United States, where it was released by a New York-based artist. Her name was Laurie Anderson, and it's there was one particular song actually I could play called "Oh Superman," which is quite cool, sort of quite weird and trippy. And there's another one called Let X Be X, Let X Equal X, and I really like both of them, and it's a really hard choice between which to play. So I think I might just play Let X Equal X, and maybe I can play Oh Superman later in the show, because we have got a little bit of time today, because we're on till 12. So this is Laurie Anderson, quite an interesting lady. Again, you can Google her, and there's currently an article will pop up again from The Guardian. I read a lot of The Guardian entertainment section, because they do have some really good writers, and they do have a funding model now which enables their journalists to really write really long, extensive, well-researched articles again, which is a thing perhaps 2 or 3 years ago they were struggling to do. More power to The Guardian in that respect. A lot of people don't like them. They think they're sort of a left-wing rag, but I mean, I don't ascribe to that. I think they're pretty fairly non-biased news source, particularly as they're not owned by a billionaire, which always helps. Yeah, this is Let X Equal X by Laurie Anderson from the album. What was her album called again? It's got a cool name, and I can't quite. Big Science.
And he looked like he might have been a hat check clerk at an ice rink. Which in fact, he turned out to be. And I said, oh boy, right again. Let X equal X. You know, it could be you. It's a sky blue sky. Satellites are out tonight. Let X equal X. You know, I could write a book, and this book would be thick enough to stun an ox. 'Cause I can see the future, and it's a place about 70 miles east of here where it's lighter. Linger on over here. Got the time? Let X equal X. This postcard, and it said, dear amigo, dear partner, listen now, I just want to say thanks. So, thanks. Thanks for all the presents. Thanks for introducing me to the chief. Thanks for putting on the feedback. Thanks for going all out. Thanks for showing me your Swiss Army knife. Oh, and thanks for letting me autograph your cast. Hug and kisses XXXX0000. Oh yeah. P.S. I feel like I am in a burning building, and I gotta go, 'cause I feel like I am in a burning building, and I gotta go. It's a kind of magic.
Oh, that was that song ended rather abruptly, and then another one started straight afterwards. I like how it just said it's kind of magic though. It's a top track from Queen that I'm not going to be playing right now. Written by Roger, the keyboardist. What's his name again? Roger someone. Yeah, and then slightly rewritten by Freddie Mercury, much to Roger's chagrin. Something I read a while ago about that song. But yeah, so that was Laurie Anderson, and Let X Equal X. after playing it, after listening to it the other night, I really quite liked it, and I think it's quite kind of weird and funny. I'm sort of feeling like I should have played Oh Superman, because I think in terms of being a little bit sort of really amazed by what it was, I think Oh Superman was probably the more amazing track, looking back on that now. Yeah, so what else interesting has been going on this week? I think I've been watching my leg wither away. I actually have got a moon boot on now. I had the cast removed from my left leg 2 Thursdays ago, and I got a moon boot, and which now means that when I bathe, I'm able to remove the protective shield that's helping my leg heal. But yeah, I did notice how withered my calf muscles looking after having such powerful calf muscles for my entire life. I've now got one that looks like it's sort of withering away, unfortunately. But yeah, no, it'll all work out eventually once it heals, and I've got to go to some sort of rehab and do leg exercises and so on. But yeah, I've gotten pretty good on I've got a little thing that's called a knee scooter that ACC were nice enough to send me, even though they haven't offered me any income support, because apparently, because I was between contracts when I injured myself, I'm not eligible for, according to their new rules, which changed about 4 years ago. But hey, that's how it is. But they did send me a knee scooter. So, and that's something that, in a lot of countries in the world, you wouldn't have an outfit sending you a knee scooter if you hurt yourself. That's one of the things that we can be thankful for. I can be thankful for about the welfare state. And I've been getting pretty good at the knee scooter, going around the house, and we've got the deck out the front of the back of the house now, where I can sort of, me and Astrid, my 4-year-old, we sort of race around the deck, her on her little balance bike and me on my knee scooter. And we have a great old time. Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. And yeah, and I can sort of get around the house, do a lot more than I could on crutches anyway. Prepare meals, do the dishes, tidy up even, sometimes sort of, do a bit of washing. But yeah, it is a little bit dodgy if you crash into things that people inadvertently leave on the floor, which I've discovered. But yeah, I'm going to play another Faith No More song now. And I'm actually just going to go through the albums. So the last album I played was the very first album. Now I'm going to play a song from... And yeah, I must mention something about Faith No More. Their very first album and their second album, they had a singer called Chuck Mosley, who was the original vocalist for Faith No More before Mike Patton joined. In around, I think he joined around 1989 or 88 or something. But so their first 2 albums, they had Chuck Mosley. This is one of Chuck's songs, which I've always loved. It's called Anne's Song. It's from the album Introduce Yourself. This is Faith No More with Anne's Song. Chuck Mosley on vocals. May he rest in peace.
That whatever it is you're doing. Oh yeah. Why? I don't know. Just doesn't seem like something you'd be doing. I mean, you of all people. You know what I mean? I know. It's been bugging you since the day I was born. I asked my friend Ann about it. He said, the day that I was born. So do whatever the hell you want to do. Now is the time where you can do anything. Everything you do, anything is still gonna turn out great. I mean, you got the world at your feet. I never claimed to be different. I only said I was bored, and she's tired of your uniqueness. It sends her overhead first, then the rest of her follows. The breath of life, it never left her hollow. I can't do there's Johnny, he always loves a party. He's followed by Vinny, who's feeling kinda skinny. He said, hey, and I'm starved, what you got to eat? Sees that Vinny, you're always hungry, man. Get away from that fridge now. Here comes Lucy, she's feeling really sexy. She's followed by her boyfriend, who better not turn around this time, or he's bound to lose her. They're followed by Jamila, who's got the cream soda. And I can't do anything I want to tell you again. We can't go anywhere tonight, 'cause we're with
Yeah, that's Anne's song, Faith No More, from the Introduce Yourself album. That was the last album that Chuck Mosley was the vocalist on. I think the band members were quite disappointed to let Chuck go, because they sort of were very good friends with him. But I think his lifestyle choices at the time were rumoured to be one of the reasons he was probably partying a bit too hard, maybe, for their liking, in terms of like what some of them were trying to achieve through the band. Even though he did go on to do some other pretty cool musical things with Bad Brains and some other groups. He was definitely an interesting guy, Chuck Mosley, and he sadly passed away just a few years ago. I've always liked his vocals, even though I know a number of Faith No More fans who are always like, oh, I'm so glad Mike Patton joined, Mike Patton definitely is a vocal superstar, really. He's on another level to most vocalists, really. If you know anything about vocals, he just has probably almost one of the most incredible vocal ranges I've ever heard. But yeah, Chuck had his own thing going on, and I liked it. He had that real, the LA sort of, Valley accent maybe, sort of coming through with what he sang. I don't know, an American would probably pull me up on that maybe, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's sort of weird, it's a slight tinge to his vocals. But yeah, that was another Faith No More track. But yeah, I was actually earlier this week once again. I'll tell you something that people should look up online if you want to read something quite quirky and cool on your Sunday. There's an article in the Washington Post about a spider. In scientific terms, it is the oldest recorded living spider. It lived for something like, 50 years or something. 55 years maybe, 49 years, I can't remember exactly. But it's just a really lovely article about this zoologist. I think she was a zoologist, maybe. Or she's sort of an insect specialist, studying these insects in the Australian outback, and it came across the spider burrow where she was able to record this same spider due to what they can discern from the way a spider lives. They were able to tell that this particular spider lived for almost 50 years. It's just such a lovely article. I read it. A friend of mine posted it on Facebook, and I reposted it, and really enjoyed the read. I'd recommend, if you want to read a cool article about a spider, the world's oldest spider, recorded spider. There probably are spiders that have lived longer. But isn't that just an amazing thing that a spider can live for 50 years? Yeah, Washington Post, I don't know, you know how to Google, sort of Washington Post, world's oldest spider, and it'll pop up. That's how simple it is to use Google. I'd recommend taking a look at that article, because it might brighten up your Sunday when you think of all those 50-year-old spiders around your house, up in the nooks and crannies, waiting to eat your corpse when you die. So yeah, we're going to play another song now. This is by an artist I've recently discovered. His name's Riley Walker. And he's been around a few years, but apparently a few years ago he was a bit of a maniac, just hitting the party, hitting the drugs, hitting the alcohol, living like there was no tomorrow, on his way to join the 27 Club, when he had a bit of an epiphany and a revelation, and he was like, what the hell am I doing? And he's gone sober. And since he's gone sober, he's chilled out a bit. He's regathered himself. And he's fired himself off once more into the void with a new album, from his new standpoint of being sober and reflecting on his life so far. And I really quite like the album. I think it's pretty cool. It's called the album is called, what is the album called again? Goodness, I can't remember. Sorry about this. I should have. The album's called Course in Fable, and it's only released a week ago, I think, yeah, or 2 weeks ago. But this particular song I really quite like. It's called Axis Bent, and this is Riley Walker from his new album Course in Fable.
Was the best out of the head. sidestep urbanly.
So that's Axis Bent. Sorry, Axis Bent by Riley Walker. Good track. I really like it. He's quite the musician, really good guitarist and arranger. And he has quite a nice voice too. I quite like his voice. And I think that's not that I know much about his earlier musical offerings, but I really think he's returned to form, which is, I can't really say that at all knowledgeably. From a knowledgeable place, I can't really say he's returned to form because I don't know anything about his previous form. But I did hear one song from one of his earlier albums, and it was pretty good. But I'd have to say that I really like Axis Bent. That's a cool track. So onwards and upwards. I was going to do a bit of a test call with my laptop. I wanted to see if I had everything hooked up, because I am going to be doing some more interviews over the coming weeks. I'm going to get Kevin Fallon back on because I always like having a chat to Kevin about football, and he'd be one of the probably one of the smartest people I know when it comes to the game of football, and definitely one of the top coaches I've ever met and been lucky enough to hang out with. His team, Manukau United, are having a bit of a struggle in the start of the season, but they've lost a few players. In particular, they lost their centre-back, who was their captain, which is a massive blow. But they did pick up a draw last week, I think, and I haven't heard their results from this weekend yet. So hopefully they're sort of getting things back on track. And Kevin will definitely have a plan up his sleeve, I bet. He's a pretty resourceful chap when it comes to fighting with lesser resources than other clubs. But yeah, so we'll play some more music here. I'll go back to another Faith No More song. So we'll go to the next album. We're sort of taking a journey through the Faith No More discography with a song from each album, and now we're moving on to The Real Thing album, which came out in, I think, 1990. And it really took the world by storm. I remember hearing about it as how old was I? I was probably Form 2, on the cusp of going to high school. And The Real Thing came out, and a friend of my mother's son, who was a bit older than me, he really liked it. What was his name again? Dallas, I think. He loved it, actually. He loved the Real Thing album, and he was always playing it, and I sort of heard it a few times at his house, and I was like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. And then, but I didn't really think much of it. But yeah, that album was pretty, I don't know, it was I suppose it sort of it had popular appeal, and it sort of took Faith No More to the next level in terms of musical popularity. They had a few standout tracks on that album. That, of course, Epic, which was their huge single, and they did a really good cover of War Pigs, which is pretty technically sound, and they were known for doing a really great version, a live version of War Pigs. But I'm going to play a song that I've always quite enjoyed by them from that album, from the Real Thing album, and it's called Zombie Eaters. It's got some good music, and it's got a bit of singing and a bit of rapping in it. This is sort of a really good example of Faith No More, like the talents of the musicians and also the talents of and Mike Patton's vocal talent. Yeah, good track, Zombie Eaters from The Real Thing by Faith No More.
Converged
How's that? Zombie Eaters, Faith No More, from their third studio album, The Real Thing. Yeah, good track. Sort of really displays the range of the band in a lot of ways, from its sort of fairly somber beginnings into the middle of the song track there, where it goes into a bit more punchier music and vocal delivery. And then tails off back into a more somber feeling again. Yeah, always enjoyed that track. Sort of, I read somewhere that it was some sort of reflection on children and how they sort of are when they're little. Of the centre of everything in their own world, in their own minds, demanding of their parents and so on. Yeah, but yeah, that's a really good track. I've always liked it. For anyone who's interested, Real Madrid beat Barcelona 2-1 in the Clásico, the biggest match in Spain, sending them top of the table. So. After it looked for quite a while that Atletico Madrid were going to win the league easily, now it doesn't seem so cut and dry, as they've just gone behind, actually. And the big news in football today, which I quite enjoyed, was that Leeds United beat Man City at the Etihad Stadium, Man City's home ground, with 10 men, 2-1. But yeah, I mean, the sort of results are on the cards. When Guardiola makes 7 changes to his team, which is probably not taking Leeds maybe as seriously as he should have. As it turns out, he now knows that. Yeah, so I've got another song to play. This is one that I came into contact with last year. I quite enjoy it. It's by an artist called Mel Torme. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. Actually, maybe I even played this on this show before. I don't think I did. So no, I definitely didn't actually. I'm quite sure of that. This is Mel Torme, who was quite a big star in the 50s and 60s, I think, or 60s and 70s in the United States. Sort of a contemporary of Bobby Darin and a similar style of sort of singer. He's quite silky vocals, good backing band. Yeah, but this is a cool track. I always quite like this one. It's sort of, I don't know, makes me always think of sort of, I don't know, maybe soldiers coming back from America's international wars, something like that, or maybe a travelling salesman who's been away too long, something like that, or yeah, but either way, it's a really pretty cool song, good music, and great singing by Mel Torme. It's called Comin' Home, Baby.
I'm coming home, baby, now. I'm coming home now, right away. I'm coming home, baby, now. I'm sorry now I ever went away. Every night and day I go and stay. I'm coming home, baby.
Come on home.
Coming home, baby, now.
You know I'm waiting here for you.
I'm coming home now real soon.
You've been gone.
Coming home, baby, now.
You don't know what I'm going through.
I'm coming home, I know I'm overdue.
Since you went away.
Expect me any day now real soon. I'm coming home.
Come on home.
Coming home, baby, now.
You know I'm praying every night.
And everything is gonna be fine.
Please come on.
Coming home, baby, now.
I want to feel you hold me tight.
Expect to see me now anytime.
When I'm in your arms.
When you're in my arms, I'll be fine. I'm coming home.
Come on home.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
You know I'm counting every day.
I'm coming home now, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Use a phone.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
And baby, let me hear you say
I'm coming home, you hearing what I say.
that you're coming home.
And I never will go away. I'm coming home.
Come on home.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
You know I'm waiting at the door.
They can't hold me back now no more.
All alone.
I'm pressing on, baby, now.
And pacing up and down the floor.
Oh, hear me holler and hear me roar.
Say you'll be with me.
Gonna be with you evermore. I'm coming home.
Come on home.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
Oh, baby, say you're coming home.
That's what I say I'm coming home.
Something's wrong.
The road is long, baby, now.
You ought to either write a phone.
I'm coming home and never more to roam.
Baby, tell me you.
Baby, I'm for sure coming home. I'm coming home.
Come on home.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
Come on home.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
Come on home.
I'm coming home, baby, now.
Come on home.
Coming home, baby, now.
Yeah, Mel Torme with Coming Home, Baby. Pretty good track. Well, I quite like that one. Hope some people out there enjoyed it. Yeah, he's got quite a few goodies. There's some albums available online you can check out. What a sort of best of type things. Yeah, someone I hadn't really heard much of until maybe about a year ago. I can't remember how I sort of stumbled over him. Perhaps reading an article online. Probably I do a lot of reading, and that's generally how I come across a lot of new music. Yeah, and so I've got another. I'm going to continue with this Faith No More theme of playing. Going through their albums. So the next album after The Real Thing was an album called Angel Dust. And Angel Dust had... funny thing about the album Angel Dust was that it was sort of met with a lot of the fans of The Real Thing were like, what the hell is this? Like, they really didn't like it, which I've always... I suppose I never really understood because I always liked Angel Dust. I sort of standout tracks on it for me were the opener, Land of Sunshine, the third track, Midlife Crisis, RV I always liked, Everything's Ruined was great, Be Aggressive I always liked, Small Victory, Jizzlobber, great track, really heavy, and Caffeine was a song that I suppose when I first heard it I was like, wow, this is just... pretty savage, but it's a pretty powerful piece of music, and over the years it became my favourite song from the Angel Dust album, Caffeine. So I think I might play it now. It's probably the heaviest Faith No More song would have heard out of the last few that I've played this morning. It's got some pretty, again, great examples of Mike Patton's vocals, and also excellent examples of the Faith No More band members, Billy Gould on bass, Mike Borden on drums, Jim Martin on guitars, and Roddy Bottom on keyboards, and what they were sort of capable of as a band. This is a really good track. It's sort of pretty dark, really, and I've always quite liked that. And it has some really... sort of, I don't know, lyrics that are hard to decipher in terms of what they mean, but at the same time, the way they're delivered conveys the feeling. It's like a sort of frustrated rage, this song always sort of reminds me of, and it's... apparently there was an interview with Mike Patton where he said a lot of the writing for this album was sort of done late at night watching Land of Sunshine in particular. Most of the lyrics are from advertorials, those late night television ads, him staying up late under the influence of maybe caffeine or other drugs, and just writing things. But yeah, here's Caffeine, Faith No More. It's pretty heavy. You might want to turn it down if you don't like heavy music. I urge you to listen through, though, and just again, listen to the music, listen to the vocals. It's something very different from some of the other Faith No More music, because, I mean, in a lot of ways that they are not a particularly heavy band, but then they do, on the odd occasion, deliver tracks like this. Yeah, so that's Caffeine, Faith No More from the album, Angel Dust album. Yeah, pretty cool track. I've always liked it. Angel Dust was an album, yeah, a little bit misunderstood by Faith No More fans, some of them anyway. Other Faith No More fans consider it their best album, and I probably do too. I probably think it's maybe peak Faith No More before Jim Martin left, and the band was sort of maybe going through some personal issues apparently at the time, and I don't think they even recorded the album together. They were never in the studio together for that album. They sort of recorded parts in different parts of the country, like Billy Gould and Mike Patton were in one studio somewhere, and then Jim Martin was adding his bits from across the country, and so yeah, so it was interesting how that album came together, or how it sort of wasn't together and then ended up together. But yeah, again, sort of a good example of what they were capable of in terms of like the differing sounds and ways they went about music creation. So I did have another cool song that I heard this week that I wanted to play. Just try and find it again. It was a song by a friend of mine on Facebook actually put it up, and I hadn't heard it before, and I quite like it. It's his name's oh no, I don't need to tell you the name of my friend on Facebook, but this is a track by Venetian Snares called Ongi Likos Varsanap. Yeah, check it out, see what you think. I think it's something pretty cool and different.
Darling, I hope that my dream never haunted you.
Yeah, so that was Venetian Snares with Ongilikos Vasanap. Yeah, something a bit different for your Sunday morning. Indira's here now. She's going to have a bit of a word. I'm going to chuck her on. She's on mic. Mic C. Hey mate, how are you?
Hi.
What's happening? What's happening in the world of Indira?
Well, we had parent-teacher interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And I also got a story I'm gonna share today. So I'm just gonna cut it a bit because it's a bit long. So I'll just say what it is. I'll read the start and then I'll just explain a bit. So it was a cold, frosty morning in May. I was on my way to the new superstore, 1 block away from my house on Dillon Street. I had to head down there at 7 o'clock in the morning instead of last night. My mum said it was because I was being lazy, but I was actually busy defeating the Great King in my video game Sherlock and Thrones. I hate walking in the mornings because of Mr. Grunt, who lives on Tilly Street, 1 street away from the superstore. He is always starting the longest conversations. Once my mum was there for an hour talking about cucumber pickle soup. And then he just goes to the store. He approaches the store and the mist is hanging over the car park like a ghost over a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So he buys some milk and then this girl comes out and she's like, snatch, snatch, he got snatched. And he's like, what does that mean? So, here we go. So, I'll just read this bit. Okay. I picked up the milk and I was ready to go to the counter when I heard something disturbingly scuttle past me. I sighed and I just thought it was a rat, but the light started to flicker. It must just need fixing, but after all, it's a brand new store. That was very odd. No, not odd, spine-chilling. I heard a distraught scratching from one of the aisles. I froze in sudden fear. Was I being watched? I thought to myself. It sent shivers down my spine. Then I felt a dense breathing behind me. I slowly turned around and I saw nothing but some strange marks with a red gooey substance on the floor, leading up to the counter. Then I heard an old man groan in pain. The shop owner had disappeared. He had just gone. I cautiously slipped past the aisles and crept up to the counter to get a closer look. I'm just gonna cut it. So I got some details, and then he was looking at the shelf, and then he felt a bony hand touch him. A thick, sloppy liquid dripped onto the ground. It was the same red substance that was by the fridge aisle. The thing ran up the wall and let out a high-pitched screech that made my ears ring. It now sat above me on the ceiling. It stared at me with nothing but its hollow sockets. Its red fleshy face oozed blood that seeped onto my forehead. I stood there in complete horror. I had nowhere to get out. How was I to survive? All I had was a bottle of milk. Not knowing what I was doing, I threw the milk towards the slippery figure, and it hissed and scuttled away. I turned around to put the milk down, and as I went to get another bottle of milk, I felt a force behind me, and a sticky hand whipped sailed past me as I managed to dodge it. Then I felt a cold hand lunge at me and grip my shoulder. I screamed in a petrified panic. I struggled to squeeze out of the monster's tight grip. Finally, I managed to break free and run for it. I didn't look back. I just kept my eyes straight on the road. A car skid past me. Then all I remember was violently slipping over a rock. I blacked out. It's not finished. It's almost finished. I woke up. It was dark, but not cold. It was warm, like body heat warm. I slowly peered over my shoulder and I saw a body of an old man with draped eyes. Covered with red sloppy... Wait, that's the stuff from the thing. That's the stuff the monster had on it. I let out a nervous scream for help. Then I realised I was in a pit filled with bodies for the snatcher. I froze when I heard a slow crawling and crushing of bones. I was next. I was the next meal.
Oh, cool, mate. That's good. Good writing. Yeah. No, you like you're quite into your scary stories now.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. No, I think you've done well there. And yeah, we'll look forward to hearing more of the series later on. Okay, so I think we're almost about to call it a day for today. I'm not even sure if this actually went out live because I've actually been unable to pick it up on my laptop, which is right here next to me. It was not playing the Arrow stream for some reason, which I find sort of quite odd. I don't, and then when I did go to Arrow, the website, it said that it was playing the 60s Nostalgia Show, which is on at 8 a.m. this morning, so I don't know what exactly was going on there.
Is my mic on?
Yeah, it is. Okay, I'll turn it off now. See, that's...
Tuned to Arrow FM, your local community access radio station. The time now is at...
Yeah, so for some reason on the website it's playing something completely different. But yeah, well, on that note, we'll play the last song I'm going to play from Faith No More today. What are you doing, mate? No. Last song I'm going to play from Faith No More today, and it's King for a Day from the King for a Day album, King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. Here it is. So that's it for this week. Hopefully that went out. I'm not sure. Maybe, but a couple of people I spoke to said they couldn't pick it up today for some reason, but maybe that was just it's some sort of online difficulty. Hopefully it was still going out on the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a good Sunday and a good week. Goodbye.
If you'd like to get involved with Arrow FM 92.7 Access Radio Wairarapa, get in touch. Phone us on 378 0255. You don't need any special training or skills, just something to say or play.
Astound